Sipin Ajitek, Sipin Roop, Sipin Raju, Sipin Gautam, Sipin Sanjay Das, Sipin Samita, Sipin Ashok Chotwani, Sipin Sudeep Bhargava, Sipin Parvati Amma, Sipin Krishna Sharma, Motkulanand, Sipin Ashok, Sipin Gaurish, Sipin Bridget, Sipin Govardhan, Tagairaj, and the rest of you whom I am unable to see. Welcome to the call. And today the question that somebody asked me, and I put it back to you. What is the way to realize the truth? Is it easy? What is the way? Is there a way? Is there a path? We are coming on this call every day. We want enlightenment. So I'm putting the question to you. What is the way? The question today, what is the way to realize the truth? Who is going to make an attempt?
Shivam.
Shivoham.
Yeah, Shivam, sir. Sir, the way of Sir, the way of realizing the truth is understanding that we are sick. We should be free from ignorance that we are not body, mind, and ego. Then it will be easy to realize the truth, sir.
Good answer. You have said in many words, but let me see what you have said has the answer inside it. But let me see what other people have the view, because you told many things. I don't know whether people captured what you said. Anybody else? What is the way to realize the truth, my dear friends?
Shivam, sir.
Shivam, Sudeep.
I think the learning for the truth needs to be preceded by unlearning what we already know, because what we think that we know is actually false. So we first need to unlearn. We need to realize that whatever we have been thinking so far or whatever we have understood so far is actually false. Only once that realization comes, once we are able to empty our cup, only then we'll be able to fill it up with the truth. Because right now the cup is filled with a lot of nonsense and false perceptions. So I think unlearning has to be done first. Then we can learn the new things.
So good, Sudeep. In one word, what Sudeep said, how to realize the truth? Unlearning. Right? So unlearning is an important aspect. Yes, anybody else would like to say? What is the way to realize the truth, my dear friends?
Yeah, I also agree with Sudeep what he said.
Unlearning.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
When we'll not forget all these things, then we cannot accept what is the reality.
So I'm putting your words in a little different word, Rekha. I'm saying what you're saying is we have to change our conditioning. That's what you're trying to say. Sudeep said unlearn, but your expression is we are all conditioned with certain beliefs and we have upbringing, so that conditioning has to change.
Or else we cannot move forward.
Correct. Thank you. Anybody else? Last chance. Who is it? Kumar Swami. Bolo.
Actually, the realization part, actually we have to go for a Talash and Savana, Manana, Nidhi, Dhyasana. The 10-point formula of Itkari is there.
Yes.
So we have to follow, and we have to follow the Guru also. With that, we can go realize the truth. What I meant to say.
So you are saying it is not any one thing. Kumar Swami says it is a 10-point formula. I mean, it's not that any one thing can realize the truth. What Kumar Swami says is correct. The question today was, what is the way to realize the truth? And I agree, Kumar Swami, it's not only one thing, right? Can we just do one thing and realize the truth? No, we cannot. So Kumar Swami says there is a formula. We have to have the entire formula to realize the truth. Sudeep says unlearning. Rekha said it is reconditioning. And Ashok Chotwani started by saying we have to overcome ignorance. So I think all these things are important. But today, I am asking you, if you want to realize the truth, If you want to realize the truth, I am telling you, there is one way. Like Ajit came yesterday and Ajit said, I have a problem. I don't know whether the problem helped him. How much better he is feeling. How much better are you feeling, Ajit, compared to yesterday? Haji.
हाँ जी सर, शिवम
सर। How much better are you feeling?
सर अभी सच बोलूं तो अभी तो नहीं, पर मेरे को होप है कि 1 वीक टाइम में मेरे को इम्प्रूवमेंट जरूर होगी इससे.
So you're going to continue. You're going to continue the effort,
yes,
right?
Yes, sir. I will continue what you have given the guidelines. Okay. I will follow that.
Thank you. So all I'm asking you, each one of you, if you want to realize the truth, I'm giving you one method. You have to ask questions. This session every day is meant each one. Are you telling me that what Girish has got some small issue? Suppose Girish, you want to close the door behind you. And in that door, there is only a problem of 5 millimeters in that door. Can the door close? 5 millimeter mismatch. Can the door close? How often have you all struggled, my dear friends, to open a lock, to put a key, and the lock doesn't open? I have had experience. The locksmith comes. All he does, he takes the filer. He files the key for 1 minute, and the door opens. Have you had experience? My point is, each one on this call has different issues. Everybody has got, either you say, I have reached the state of enlightenment. Then you explain to everybody. How many of you have, okay, let me start with the first question today. Who says in the group, I have reached state of enlightenment and 100% enlightenment? I don't need you and I don't need to come on this call to ask any more questions. Anybody? Anybody has reached 100% enlightenment and I don't need to come on this call? If you have not reached 100%, if you are even 99%, then what is that 1%? What is holding you back? What is causing you, stopping you from enlightenment? And if you don't know what is stopping you, then that is the problem. You need to ask that. I don't know what is stopping me. But you have to find...
You see, let me tell you that knowledge is easy to get.
Yeah.
But to practice, to live by that knowledge is another story, which takes time.
So what stops you from... What stops you?
No, it doesn't stop me. What I'm saying is it takes time. So you rise and fall. But the question is, as long as you put effort continuously, chances are you will succeed.
So I ask you the question, what is coming in the way of putting continuous efforts?
What is the way? The way is because we are in Maya.
No,
we have got other responsibilities. That's the sort of thing.
Now, Dasi, you're coming out with the point as you start discussing. You come out with the point, right? You come out with the point that there is we get caught in this cosmic illusion, this Maya.
100%.
Day in and day out. Then you came with the next point. We get caught in responsibilities, in duties.
Yes.
But the point that we need to contemplate, somebody came to me only today, Dasi, and said, how can I overcome my duties and responsibilities? It is holding me back from enlightenment. So you know what I told the person? Your duty and your responsibility is holding you back, right, from enlightenment? I'm giving you a simple solution. I said, throw enlightenment in the dustbin. I said, you throw enlightenment in the dustbin and go to your duty. The person laughed and said, how can I do that? Because I know enlightenment is more important than my duty. I know enlightenment is more important than my responsibility. I said, if you know that enlightenment is more important than your duty or your responsibility, then what is the problem? The problem, like Dasi, you said, you have to get out of this Maya. You have to escape from the samsara.
That is true, but the question is, you have to do your duty. And that duty I'm performing, I know that I need to iron out for flexibility for the children to really take over. But if I were to withdraw now, things will be in shambles.
But what if there is no tomorrow? God willing, please don't take it literally. Please don't take it.
I disagree. I agree with you.
Yeah.
Tomorrow, nobody knows, but the fact remains, to your best knowledge, if you do your duty, chances are that you will live and perform the duty. But the question is to abruptly to make a stop and discontinue, I think is the wrong way.
Yeah. No, what you say is correct. I don't think nowhere we should do some things abruptly. But you know, for me, just to share with you, and before we get on to the next question, we need to realize, I'm giving you a small example, Dasi and the group. Yes. We need to contemplate on the life of a caterpillar. So we are crawling like a caterpillar. Do we want to continue crawling like a caterpillar all our life, or do we want to fly like a butterfly?
No, all our life, definitely no. Because with your guidance, I know the facts, I know the truth, and enlightenment is very important, very essential. But the question is, I'm in two minds, whether I should really abandon or I should do it in a slow measure, and maybe a year or so, 6 months or a year, I will be able to overcome and iron out.
Excellent. So just to give you the answer to that, what you need to do is you need to try to spend time in silence and go within and try to get the voice from within to guide you as to what is to be done. The inner voice, the inner voice is very, very important to give you strength. You know, 2 days back, anybody has a question ready? We have 1 or 2 questions, but 2 days back, I wrote a small little poem, which we call a bhajan, right? In the bhajan, I said, उड़ जा रे पंछी ये तन से उड़ जा. How do you escape from this body, which is a pinjara, which is a cage? We know that this body is a cage, and we are the Atma, and we are caged in this body. And if we do not let go of this body, we will go from one cage to another cage. And we will go from cage to cage, cage to cage. How are we going to let go of this cage of the body? Because we are the bird, the panchi. Ud ja re panchi. So I hope to send you all this song soon. But let's get on the question. First question from?
Guruji. Pranam, Guruji.
Pranam,
Guruji, when we will have a deep yearning for God, then only we can realize the truth.
You are right. That is one of the 4 doors to liberation. Viveka, Vairagya, Shat Shampat, Mumukshutvam. The 4 doors, what you're talking about, the deep yearning is Mumukshutva. Now, even Dasi was telling, right? Dasi was saying, it will take time. When my Guruji told me to go on a talash, for me, the difference was, I said, no, I want to do it now. I don't want to wait.
Okay.
So the challenge is, how can we have that yearning, that deep yearning that will liberate us? You're right. So Kiran, you have a very valid point.
And Kripa of Guru and divine God, divine power.
See, Guru is very important, because if I did not have a Guru, who would give me the answers? Whenever I had a problem, I would be sitting down I would wait for 1 hour, 2 hours before my Guru was free to answer my question. I would wait for...
Ravi, let me tell you, we have the same Guruji. But the question is, about few years before he passed away, and the question is, I told him, what if I give up? And what happens? He says, to be very frank with you, I told him I'm not happy as such. So he told me I can give you 2 options. One option, be like Buddha, overnight disappear. I'm not suggesting, he says so. I'm not telling you to do that. But these are 2 options which are on the table. The second option is surrender to the God, offering to the God all your work, which I'm making effort. It's God's will that I will perhaps one day succeed.
That's right. So everybody has got different samskara, different conditioning, different circumstances. Everybody is not Dasi. Everybody doesn't have the same situation, right?
Correct. Absolutely.
So I'm not saying, I don't say that all of you on this call can follow the same formula to be enlightened.
No.
So all I'm saying, let us be clear before we move on. Point one, do we all know that the goal of life is enlightenment? We are all on this call together.
100%.
Yeah, we all know there is no point in us going on living in this world, making money, building a family, which we will all leave behind. We all know that this is a Maya, this is a Leela. We have to be liberated. We need to be united with God. The question is how? The question is when will it happen? How can we do it? And that's why I asked you this question today. Look at the question. You know what the question is? How can we realize the truth? And the way to realize the truth is to overcome the myth. If you keep on, if the world, and you have to stop following the world. Everybody in the world is going in the 99% of the people are going. If you go for a party, 100 people are just holding a glass of whiskey and talking about share market and millions and diamonds.
Okay. Now to be very Ravi, I just want to ask you, last 6 months or 1 year, I hate to go to parties. And when I'm there, I'm silent because I don't talk about business either.
Yeah.
So I don't know whether that's an evolvement. I don't know.
No, it is obviously obviously it is evolvement because you are been in the highest of society with the richest of people in the world. So you know that is meaningless. You have reached that level. That doesn't give you any more. It doesn't give you fulfillment.
Exactly. Yeah.
So that is going step by step from achievement. You go to the state of contentment and fulfillment. That is another method of reaching enlightenment.
Absolutely.
To go from A to B and B to C. What Buddha did not go from A to B, B to C. Buddha directly went from A to C.
Exactly, you're right.
So everybody cannot go from A to C. I did not go from A to C. I went from A to B and B to C. I shut down my business when I was 40. I was having a blast for 7 years. I went to 100 new countries. I went to Antarctica. That's when I went to my guru and I told my guru, Dada, look at these beautiful pictures of penguins. He started laughing. You know what he told me? He told me, are you a fool? Are you going to just keep on seeing penguins and dolphins and go from Iceland to Greenland to Finland and Antarctica? One day you will die. My guru told me, one day you will die. What are you doing? Wake up. Go for talash. And he pushed me. Dasi and me both have the same guru for information. That's why the conversation is slightly, it is a little bit different. So Dasi, he pushed me, go for talash.
Absolutely. You're lucky.
And then when you go for talash, when you go and search and search and search, and then the 4 doors, you use your intellect. Vivek Chudamani. Vivek is your intellect. Then Vairagya. Vairagya means you live with, you renounce. Like you say, some people, they cannot do without a peg of liquor in the night. They cannot do. Now what does that liquor do? People don't understand. What's the problem? Let's have a drink. The minute you have a drink, your mind is fogged. The minute your mind is fogged, your intellect is disabled. The minute your intellect is disabled, you cannot realize the truth.
Right.
So people don't understand. Otherwise, what is the big deal? There's no harm in having a drink. You have a glass of wine. But I've had a glass of wine. I know what happens. What happens to they say Talli. Talli, Bridget, you have wine sometime, Bridget, in Quebec? My dear Bridget, how often you have wine? But sometime you must have had wine, right? You know what happens, right?
No, often. I don't like really this.
You don't like wine to drink?
No,
Whiskey?
really. No, really,
liquor?
no. No, I don't drink so much. I don't like this. Just a little bit, 1-2 times by year.
What happens when you drink that little bit? Your head goes round and round or no? Little bit.
Ooh.
Go around.
I become the I too, and
So you lose, you can't discriminate. And when you cannot discriminate, you cannot discipline. And when you cannot discipline, you cannot move forward to enlightenment. And then you suffer. You suffer, you fight with your family, you fight with your people, and you have become unhappy. Okay. Next question, please. Good. We have moved. This was a good, kind of a good tangent we went on. Shilpa.
Hi, namaste.
Namaste.
While listening to this, I did not have any specific answer for the question that you have asked today, but then now I have, say, hypothetically, if one has realized the truth and one is enlightened, though it's a very long procedure, but let's say if somebody is, what after that? Do they stop doing the things? Do they stop living in this world? What happens?
You know the answer, right? You know the answer that an enlightened person doesn't stop living, just like a non-enlightened person, right? You know, when does a person stop living? A person stops living when there is death. When there is death, when there is no breath, then there are two things. The person who is not enlightened will return in a punarjanam, in a rebirth, and the person who is enlightened is liberated. But your question, coming back to your question, it is called a state of Jivan Mukta. A state of Jivan Mukta, the person who reaches the state of Jivan Mukta, Krishna and the Bhagavad Gita call that state a Sthit Pragya. Sthit Pragya means you live with a steady intellect. You live liberated from the Trishna, the desires of this world. You overcome your greed because you live in a state of Sat Chit Anand.
Correct. Sat, that I know. Yeah. That I'm aware totally. And I'm sorry, I'm cutting you short here. It's what I exactly wanted to know is कि जब वो सच्चित आनंद वाला फेस आ जाता है तो क्या हम let's say डेली काम करना छोड़ देते हैं या डेली का खाना छोड़ देते हैं या like what changes apart from सच्चित आनंद? Yes, greed खत्म हो जाएगा, तृष्णाएं खत्म हो जाएंगी, बहुत कुछ और चीजें निकल जाएंगी.
Yeah. So you know the answer, right? As long as you live in this body, the body has to answer the calls of nature. You have to eat, you have to drink, you have to live. You don't believe that you become a superhuman who lives on air. You don't.
Yeah. A lot of people like try to say that कि नहीं पता नहीं आप कहाँ पहुंच जाओगे. तो वो question मेरे दिमाग में आया. दूसरा, अगर ये होता है, say somebody who's enlightened, अभी वो डेली अपने काम कर रहे हैं, नौकरी पे भी जा रहे हैं, खाना पीना भी चल रहा है, अपनी अगर उनकी फैमिली है तो उसको भी टेंड कर रहे हैं, बट विद अ डिटैच्ड अटैचमेंट, लाइक दे आर फॉलोइंग एवरीथिंग, बट कहीं ना कहीं वो सर्कल में नहीं घुस जाते वापस.
Let me pause you. The person who is enlightened will live a transformed life. A person who is enlightened will make a lot of change in his priorities. A person who is enlightened will not continue doing what he was doing because, please understand, he will think many things are meaningless.
Absolutely.
Therefore, like a caterpillar, the caterpillar, once it becomes a butterfly, does the butterfly still crawl like a caterpillar?
No.
Please understand. That is how, please understand the analogy. The analogy is that when you are, so I'm giving you a new word. When you are enlightened, there is no transformation. There is a metamorphosis.
Correct.
The metamorphosis means there is a complete irreversible change.
True. Absolutely.
And you stop crawling through life. And you decide what it means for you to be enlightened and live. You will have a different enlightenment. Bridget will have different. Dasi Budrani will have different. Kumar Swami will have different. Sudhir Bhargava may have choose something else. So each one of you doesn't have to follow the same prescribed path. Somebody may live in Bhakti Yoga. Somebody may live in Karma Yoga. Somebody may live in Jnana Yoga. Somebody may live in Dhyana Yoga. There may be 4 separate methods of living, or there may be a combination, including these 4 methods, which will give us still that state of Sat Chit Anand. I hope I've answered your question.
Yes,
Thank
you
you.
have.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next question comes from Varada. How do we deal with debilitating pain in one's body? How do we disconnect from our body when we are in that situation? When there is deep pain in the body, if you have not realized that you are the divine soul, it's very difficult to escape from that pain. The good example, Varada, would be to study the life of Ramakrishna Paramahansa. Ramakrishna Paramahansa was suffering from cancer. And in cancer, you get spasms, deep hurting spasms. I can give you the example of my Guruji Dada J.P. Vaswani. He was a real enlightened soul. When he used to have pain, he used to laugh. He used to laugh. He used to get pain. He used to get tremendous pain. But he used to laugh because he knew the body is paining. He is not paining. I've seen with my own eyes. And I've heard about how Ramakrishna Paramahansa used to speak. If you listen to videos from the Ramakrishna mission, they talk about the cancer of Ramakrishna Paramahansa. Because when you realize, Varada, then the body pains. No doubt you feel the pain of the body, but you don't suffer. Please understand the 2 words. The pain doesn't disappear, but the suffering disappears. Now let me give you an example. Suppose my mind and your mind are living with the same fear. I'm giving a different example which you'll understand. So if there's a fear in my mind and the fear in your mind, but you are enlightened, the fear doesn't affect you. I am not enlightened. The fear affects me.
Okay.
Now, Varada, giving you one more example just to make it clear in the same point. The child and the father go to an amusement park. The child and the father go to an amusement park and there's a crocodile and the child is screaming. Child is screaming because the crocodile, Bridget, you know how the crocodile is in amusement park, opens the mouth and the child is screaming and screaming, but the father is laughing and laughing. Why is the father laughing? Why is the child screaming? Because the child doesn't realize it is just an electronic, it is just made of latex. The crocodile is not real.
Right.
I hope I'm able to communicate what I'm saying.
Yes. I have this question that are these pains that we go through in this life, are they related to our souls in somehow?
So you must please read a book I've written called Suffer No More. Okay. So here, do you know what is pain? Have you studied pain?
No.
Let me explain to you quick for the benefit of everybody on the call. Suppose today I get a cut here. I get a cut on my skin. Why does it pain? Because the cut here sends a message to my brain. In my brain, there is a pain station. The pain station sends a signal of pain back here and then I pain. So now, Varada, do you know what happens when pain comes? We get 2 types of medications. One medication that will cut off the signal from here to the brain. And one medication that will cut off the signal in the brain, in the pain station. There are 2 ways that painkillers can reduce pain. Right. Now, why I'm telling you this, because you're talking about pain. Now, let me tell you, you want to go for a root canal. If the doctor by mistake drills into your tooth without anesthesia, what do? Have you had any experience?
Yes, it is.
Oh, you cry, you will shout and you will scream, right?
Right.
But the moment he puts anesthesia, what happens?
It goes away, yeah.
He disables the signal going to the brain, to the pain station in the brain.
Right.
Now what happens is, when enlightenment happens, when the realization happens, you kind of disconnect from that whole process. You start realizing that the pain from here to the brain and the coming, you are able to disassociate from that because you are in a state of consciousness that you are the divine soul. And since, Varada, your question is very good, I'm going to give you one more analogy. Do you know something that when you have deep pain, Varada. But when you go to sleep, the pain disappears. Right or wrong?
Right.
Why?
Because you're not conscious of the pain.
Now you got the answer.
Yes.
You got the answer. You got the ultimate answer now?
Yes.
So this is all, but I explained the whole thing in detail because we all go through pain. And lovely question, very different kind of question today. How do you deal with pain? How, therefore, it's always good to take a painkiller for the moment. But in course of time, if your mind is replaced by your consciousness and your consciousness is not on the mind, then the mind doesn't feel the pain. And your consciousness can overcome the pain if you become conscious that you are the divine soul. It's not easy. I'm not telling you that tomorrow your leg is cut and you can't feel the pain. No, normal human being will feel pain. But as you go forward on this path, you are able to overcome pain. Thank you. Any more questions? Any more, one or two questions before we close for today? I have a question which is here. Who is more capable of taking true decisions, the mind or the soul? Who is, I think this is a full-time question, but we don't know who takes the decision. Is it the mind that takes the decision? Yes. If the mind is left uncontrolled, then the mind decides. You know what happens, right? The mind thinks, thoughts become feelings, feelings become actions, actions become habits, habits become the character becomes the destiny. Therefore, very important for us to control the mind. But does the mind always take the decision? Or does the soul take the decision? A lot of people are confused. They feel that it is the soul that's taking the decision. They somehow feel that the soul is part of their individual journey on this earth. The soul is not restricted. Suppose Ashok Nichani. Ashok Nichani thinks my soul is Ashok Nichani's soul. Ashok, do you think like that? Ashok Nichani's soul belongs to Ashok Nichani? Do you think like that?
Ashok Nichani's soul, it belongs to me. My soul, yeah, my soul is mine.
So Ashok Nichani, your soul is not yours. Your soul is mine. Your soul is mine. Just as my soul is yours. Everybody's smiling on the call because we have reached the end of the session. Ashok Nichani, how can your soul be yours?
Everyone's soul is, all the souls are everyone's.
So who makes the decision? Is the decision that we take in our life the decision of the mind or the decision of the soul?
Mind.
So the answer is not so. The answer needs a complete session, and one of these days we'll do a complete session. What exactly makes the decision? How much is the soul involved? Is the soul responsible? My dear friends, today we spoke about so many things. How can we realize the truth? How can we overcome pain? How does an enlightenment being live? You know, every day on this call, we are touching 3, 4, 5 subjects. But do you even realize it is just the tip of the iceberg? What we are touching is barely what you see as an iceberg. You see 10% of an iceberg above the water. 90% of the iceberg is below the water. Do you realize that what we are touching on this call is just the tip of the iceberg? And if you want to get to the bottom of the truth, you want to get to the root, then you've got to keep on. This journey of enlightenment, this journey of realization, this journey is not for everybody. This journey is for those who are sincere seekers. It's for those who are willing to take this journey. It's for those who want eternal happiness. It's for those who want to realize the truth. It's for those who want to become one with God. It's for those who want to overcome misery. It's for those who want to find the true purpose of life. It's for those who want to overcome the mystery of death. And for those who want to understand the truth of rebirth. Do you think enlightenment is just a simple subject of 2 + 2? No, it's not. Therefore, every call enlightens us. Every call may add to one realization or two realizations, but the journey continues. But unless you ask questions, you will only be an audience. If you want to experience realization, it's like somebody, they want to learn swimming. You know what they tell me? How to swim. So I tell them, you wear the swimming costume and jump in the pool. And then you have to swim. You know, I tell them, you have to swim. And then after I came a few days later, you know what I see? They're sitting outside the pool and they're doing like this. So if you sit outside the pool and you keep on doing the action of swimming, will you learn swimming? You will never learn swimming. If you want to learn swimming, jump in the pool. Wear on the swimming costume. Move your hands. If you need a float, take a float so you don't drown. But don't sit outside the swimming pool and ask, hey, Girish, how's the water? Is it cold in there? Sudeep, how's the water, Sudeep? Should I jump? No, you will never learn swimming. If you want enlightenment, jump into it. And do it again and again. Make it a habit. Ask questions. Don't feel shy. Oh, is my question silly? Many people start with the question, can I ask you a silly question? And I always say, no question is silly. You know, can I ask you some very ordinary question? No question is ordinary. Every question is valuable. Every question takes us one step forward on the journey of enlightenment. And with that note, I bow down to the SIP, the supreme immortal power in you all. I bow down to you and seek your blessings. We will meet
Sirji, one
tomorrow
question.
at 8. Yes, Ashok, before we go, tell me quickly.
Sirji, I accept my fault. I realized Paramatma to ek hi hai. Paramatma to ek hi hai.
It's not your fault.
I realized my fault.
It was not your fault. It was your monkey mind that gave that answer. It was not your consciousness. Shivoham, God bless you all. See you tomorrow at 8.
Sure.